your mortgage payment is definitely going to be a lot more than a rental value of that property.
That can save you literally thousands and thousands of dollars.
A lot of times when lenders actually go over that pre-approval, they're never really talking to you about what that mortgage payment is going to be, right?
I borrowed this house from the bank 3 years ago, and I hate it. And some people are asking me why. Why do you hate it? Because I can't afford it. I can't afford this house.
Welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast, where we talk all things VA benefits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and more. Here today, we're going to be educating on real estate. So definitely, that's something that's near and dear to me, right? And I really appreciate that opportunity to kind of educate veterans on housing affordability, because there's so much information out here, so many gurus and different people saying certain things, right? We don't want to get caught in that, right, veterans? We want to give you guys the truth and really sort of use today to kind of react to a video of a homeowner to really kind of unpack the knowledge, because sometimes we're talking about VA loans and housing affordability, and it gets so convoluted at times. Sometimes you want to just kind of simplify it and really look at what homeowners are actually saying and really be able to kind of react and kind of dissect and really determine what's true and what's not true and what really just varies on your personal circumstance. So that's really what we're going to be covering today.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, you're the expert, right? Again, you have sold umpteenth amount of homes under your belt and continuously serving the veteran community, and actually have been vetted by multiple organizations, and which again, those accolades are just kind of the tip of the spear. But I do want to know, just from your opinion, is there a housing crisis?
There is actually a housing crisis for more reasons than one, right? I mean, you're dealing with the interest rates that's causing affordability issues. You also have inventory issues. So supply and demand is a problem. Even looking at materials for building. And then you're looking at labor shortages as well, right? So there's so many different issues that go into it, not even to mention so many corporate companies who are actually buying residential homes, which is actually causing a whole nother problem for the traditional family that's looking to just occupy a home and achievement of that American dream.
Oh man, I'm really excited to unpack that here on the #1 podcast for veterans and a show for veterans. I'm really excited about that. So, well, thank you for that. And I think, again, we should just kind of hop into it, right?
Yeah. So let's hop into it. So I'll introduce the video for you. We're definitely going to get that on play here. And now, this young lady, she may or may not be a veteran, but more importantly is the story that she's telling, right? And the sentiments that she's sharing based on her experiences, and really being able to learn from that today. So, we're going to kind of take a couple different points there and kind of put this video on and let you guys hear it if you haven't already heard it. I've already seen people on social media kind of reacting to it, which made us like, you know what? We need to educate our veterans regarding this as well, because so many people have these same questions and misnomers in regards to the housing market.
Yeah, true indeed. And I can tell you, veterans, just in general, and just not veterans at all, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, right? Just think about being in service. There was always ways to get around the things that you needed to do, but still execute it, right? But at the same time, though you're executing it, we didn't necessarily have to do it the way our supervisor was telling us. Because again, there was always more than one way to skin a cat, and that's in regards to the housing market as well. So we're really excited to talk about those things.
All right. Let's get right into the video here.
I borrowed this house from the bank 3 years ago, and I hate it. And some people are asking me why. Why do you hate it? Because I can't afford it. I can't afford this house. When I borrowed the house, I could afford it, and the bank insured that. Since then, though, when I borrowed this house, my property my homeowner's insurance was $1,323 a year. Today, 3 years later, my homeowner's insurance is $2,654 a year. That is a little over $100 increase, which is added to my payment. Now, I know a lot of people will say crap like, oh, well, if you buy a house, your mortgage will be cheaper than your rent. Sure, if I were to rent a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, my rent would be a lot more than my principal and interest on this house. However, I'm escrowed, so it doesn't fucking matter because I have to pay principal and interest, my property taxes, and my homeowner's insurance monthly.
Before we watch the whole complete video, Kenneth, I want to just start kind of dissecting certain parts of this video. I think it's very important to kind of provide some color and context to what's being said here. Now, I know she used some type of phrase talking about she's a home loaner, right? She's a home loaner.
Yeah. I think that's what the caption says there. Yeah, home loaner. I thought that was interesting as well. But please, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. So, which kind of, I guess, goes into the sentiments that individuals feel now. You never own your home, right? I mean, it's something because you're just paying taxes on it forever, right? You're never going to get beyond taxes, but we have to pay taxes on everything. So you're never going to get past taxes, whether you're looking at home ownership or if you're looking at buying a stick of bubble gum, right? Everything has taxes on it. But so it's some interesting sentiments there. But now when she's talking about her home ownership and she's talking about the homeowner insurance, we definitely want to dissect that and kind of break down the mortgage payment, right? Because what she's talking about with the mortgage payment is you have your principal, interest, tax, and insurance, right? And she's talking about her escrow account, which the escrow account is where your taxes and insurance are sent to, right? So your mortgage lender receives your principal and interest. And taxes goes to the government, and then you have your insurance that goes to your particular insurance company. Now, insurance, just the same way with life insurance or car insurance, is going to vary, okay? It's going to vary for the individual. So when you were thinking about the home, it's going to vary as well, right? It's going to vary based on the home, based on what you need coverage for, if you have a swimming pool, all these different factors. And it's also going to vary as the home increases in value as well, right? So you definitely want to consider that when you're purchasing a home. But also just the fact of sometimes the different companies that you may go with, you may just need to shop around with a new company. I mean, same thing with car insurance, right? You might have got your car insurance 5 years ago, and then now you're looking up and they keep hiking that premium, and you go shop around with somebody else, and you can get that same exact coverage for a lot more affordable, right? So you want to kind of understand all these different things there. But Kenneth, what's your thoughts kind of so far on some of the things that she's outlining here?
I think there's a lot to unpack. She's kind of hitting the nail on the head when we're talking about affordability, right? Again, you hit some great points in talking about being able to shop around, right? A lot of times, to be very frank with you, I think personally, when we're shopping around for insurance, that's not the crux of the price point, right? So if I'm saving $50 here or $40 there a month or something of that nature, that's awesome. We want you to have savings, right? But when we're talking about the ultimate crux of the PITI, and what I mean by that, again, principal, insurance, taxes, so on and so forth, right? We're talking about one, taxes, right? And also the interest. The interest. We never really focus on the interest because why? It's something that we have to pay anyway, though it is fixed for most, okay? And as I'm talking much about this, I'm talking about the VA home loan product or a VA home loan product just due to the fact there is, this is a veteran show, right? So we want to focus on those products there. So principal, obviously that's kind of rolled in regards to the interest, right? So With it being so much to unpack there, I always want to focus on even being shopping around for certain things. We can't shop around for HOA. We don't even dictate those price points. We don't dictate it. Who dictates it? Well, it's ultimately going to be the board, and the company that runs it. A lot of times they're going to provide you about a 100-page letter to you to show you where your HOA payments are going. 97% of you guys have never looked at it and actually dissected. And the people that are, they're probably on the board, okay? So not shopping around for that, that's very difficult, right? But what we can shop around for are interest rates, right? But we don't control them, but we can shop around for them. So, to be very honest with you, when we're talking about the price point of where she is and where she started, right? She said again that she's about a little over $1,000 to $2,000 a year now, annually. That's 100% increase. That's very difficult to maintain for the average person on a monthly, So that's where homeownership is coming to become, sometimes could be even looked as unaffordable. But I think we got a lot more to even talk about.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I want to.
Yeah, we do, right. But even with that though, right, Kenneth. So now when we're thinking about that part, so the crux of the conversation is, right, should you become a home loaner or should you just rent a property, right? Yeah. That's the crux of the conversation. And then, my objection to that is that, well, if she would have been renting a property, the rent goes up as well, right? So it's not necessarily a fixed cost. So over the years, the rent continues to increase. Now, when we talk about the unfortunates of, taxes going up and insurance is going up, that's pretty minute compared to over a 10-year period, how much rental values go up, over those times, right? And the fact of the matter is, if you're renting actual single family home, and you're renting from a private individual, a lot of times you're not going to even be able to live in that property for 10 years because they're going to want to sell that property. You're going to have to go and figure out whatever the market rent is at that time, right? And you're just kind of displaced.
No, true indeed. So what I'll do is I'll kind of reserve other sentiments for the remainder of the video. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop in it again.
So I know some people will usually say like, oh, my mortgage increased by $200 this year. Yes, we're not actually referring to the mortgage, which is the principal and interest amount. We're referring to the overall payment that we have to submit to the bank every month. It's not actually the mortgage, we know that, but we're in escrow, we don't have a choice. So it's the mortgage payment that we're paying. When I signed up for this fucking house, I signed up to pay $1,800 a month. I'm close to the $2,200 now in 3 years. That's a lot of money. And it's only going to continue to increase. And that's kind of my issue with this right now, because I'm at a point where I'm like, this is actually no different than renting. The only difference is that I don't have a landlord that I can call when my fucking toilet overflows or when the basement floods or whatever the fuck happens. I don't have that option.
Kenneth, so first and foremost, does she really even have a basement? Because I want to know that. I want to know that. And the reason why I want to know that, and I definitely, I sympathize, right? I definitely sympathize with, housing affordability and making decisions, because even myself with home ownership and different things, right? I'm a strong component of house hacking and I want to move to other properties. And when you just kind of look at what the mortgage payments are versus what you're getting, it's absolutely outrageous, right? It's absolutely outrageous. And even here in Las Vegas, where I am, you look at it a lot of times, your mortgage payment is definitely going to be a lot more than a rental value of that property. Absolutely. So, I definitely understand that. But also what I'm seeing is that, does she have a basement? A lot of people put these obstacles in front of themselves when they're looking to achieve anything, right? It's like, oh, well, this could happen. The basement can flood. I could need a new roof. This could happen. Well, you know what? If the basement floods, that's actually why you have that insurance that you were just complaining about, right? Because not only is it going to pay for those repairs, it's going to pay to put you in another property while those repairs are going to be done, and do a lot of different things really adequately. So it's very interesting that she's actually using that as a complaint, where that's why they increase, because sometimes people's basements do flood, and so premiums go up because of that. But you do not want to let certain what if situations prevent you from home ownership. And I think that's the main crux of my argument on why I don't really like individuals kind of encouraging not being a homeowner and buying a home being their biggest mistake, because ultimately it's about buying the right home, right? Well, if you got a proper inspection, then the house is in really good condition. You may not have to worry about the basement flooding unless you left some water on or different things like that, right? And when you take a vacation, do you know where the water shutoff valve is to prevent those different things, right? A lot of people don't, right? So it's just really about not only educating ourselves on the options when we're purchasing and doing things, but also about even home maintenance and how to prevent different things from happening.
Man, oh yeah. Listen. You're 100% correct. Listen, this is one of the reasons why we make sure that our veterans are with the right people, right? We talk about education, we talk about different things. A lot of times when you're talking about agents and when you're talking about lenders, what are they trying to do? Get you in the property, get you in, get you out. Again, it's a rotating door. Education is key, as you just mentioned, right? Most people aren't educated in that field to understand that the insurance will take care of some type of flooding of that nature, right? Again, having this dwelling, they talk about this in the insurance paperwork. As I mentioned before, no one is reading that, right? No one is reading those things. It is very important to kind of understand what are the basic coverages that you have, even medically, if someone gets injured in your property, right? We pay for insurance on a regular basis. And I'm not only talking about homeowners insurance, I'm also speaking about car insurance. Most people aren't even covered fully enough for car insurance. What do most get? They're gonna, again, if you own your vehicle, most people are gonna get the lowest amount of insurance that they need, right? The liability insurance, and then next thing you know, whoop, you just got in a car accident with a Rolls Royce Phantom. That liability isn't gonna cover that, right? So also personal injury, talking about things of that nature, understanding comprehensive. But that's another aspect. I'm just speaking in the regards of insurance, but homeowners insurance, that can save you literally thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, so understanding what your homeowner's insurance entails, which again, you can actually visit the link below where it can, that we provide you basic understanding in regards to homeowner insurance, right? But in regards to her situation, it's just difficult, right? Because she mentioned something that is very correct. Though we talk about principal, interest, taxes, insurance as it's a separate thing, that's one payment the person is making. That's one payment the person is making. So it gets a tad bit daunting when your insurance is going up, when your HOA is going up, and you have a reassessment of your property. Now your taxes went up, and now you got a supplemental tax bill that you have to pay because your property tax has went up.
Sounds like you might know a little bit about that.
Well, we're not going to talk about that, but understanding that though you have purchased the home and you have gotten in the clear, you're not in the clear. Because, when we're talking about home ownership, it is not just going to be You own a home, you just pay your mortgage, and that's all you do, and it's done. You can walk in a brand spanking new home, right? You mentioned getting an inspection done. When I tell you, getting an inspection before purchasing, regardless of anywhere you purchase, even if it's a new build, getting your own personal inspection, that could save you, when I tell you, tremendously. It really will, right? Because again, having that understanding of what's wrong with your property before you go into it could, one, get you into the property, because again, that's adjustable closing costs ask that we have leverage with if it is something wrong with the property, and just as for your peace of mind, understanding what's going on with the property. So that's one aspect of things, but also, all in all, having that understanding of what's going to be you are taking on, it is not just your mortgage. It is the entire property in itself. If something is wrong with the property, as you mentioned, where's the shutoff the shutoff valve? Okay, the water shutoff valve. How do you shut off your gas? Where is again your circuit breakers? Where are some of these things? But again, that's why it's getting with vetted personnel who's going to walk you through the processes of understanding and teaching you these things, rather than just hopping into the property. Because just hopping into the property and kind of a revolving door, these are the things that happens. These are the things that happens. What I will say, to put onus on the buyer, okay, would be, why aren't we prepared for these things? Why aren't we prepared for these things? And what I mean by that is, well, we have insurance, homeowners insurance. We have insurance that's going to cover majority of appliances these days, right? That most didn't have back in the day when purchasing a property. And also, why aren't we considering our budget? Because when most receive a pre-approval, they're looking at that pre-approval at the highest amount, okay? If you receive your $400,000 pre-approval, it is no reason to buy a property at $400,000, because that is your top of your budget. So you need to make sure that you understand that when you receive your pre-approval, understand that buying at the top of your budget is not going to behoove you just to get into a property. If you can't afford that $400,000 property, that means you go on to the next, okay? And understanding your budget, your finances, and actually budget for emergent issues, okay? And I'm not saying that emergent issues in the sense of it could be a flood in your basement if you have one, you know. But it's more or less, we don't know what's to come, okay? So if you don't kind of understand what's to come, and then what I mean by that, we understand again, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, so on. But there are budgeting needs for possible extra expenses that may come at you. And I always say, don't buy at the top of your budget. There should be no reason why 50% of your, 70% of your monthly income is going to housing, right? But then at the end of the day, the interest rate is out of control and the prices are out of control. Salaries aren't going up. So how do we afford to live?
Don't come with questions, come with solutions, right? We're gonna get back into the video and definitely give you guys some solutions as we kind of get more into what she's talking about here.
Of course, and we all know that going into homeownership, like I had the savings for that. It was, you know, I was fully aware of that. But everything is increasing, and we all know that too. Like, everything, the cost of living is increasing, and I can't afford this house. I hate it. But I can't, it's like, I'm probably not going to go back to renting because I invested over $30,000 into living here for upfront costs, not referring to how much I've paid in my mortgage and all that. But I'm a single mom, and regardless of me being a single mom, I make a decent living. Like, there are people in joint households, two-parent households, who make less than me and or make as much as me, and so it's really not the single mom aspect that I'm referring to in terms of financially. It's more so it's too much for me to do on top of being a mom and on top of working full-time. Like, we all know what comes with being a single parent. So for me, it's just like, it's too much. Life is lifing though. Like, I don't know, I got sucked into the world of, oh my God, I want to get married, I want to buy a house, I want to do this. It's like, I let society tell me that's what I wanted, but when I got it, I don't want it. And I hate that for me. Because it took me a little too long to realize what I actually wanted for my life and not what I thought I wanted for my life, because society makes it seem like we should want certain things. I don't like being a homeowner. I don't like it. And I don't care about, oh, well, when you pay your house off in 30 years. I don't care about that. Because the end goal for me is just making sure I have some place to come home to, I have a roof over my head. And like I said, this shit isn't mine. Whether I'm renting or borrowing or owning, it's not mine. It's not ours. Like, it can be taken away regardless. I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm just waiting to see what that. I think it's gonna.
Woo!
Man, it's tough.
Sheesh. Oh, man.
It really sheds light on a lot of issues, right? Even kind of talking about mental health and how different things can affect you that you're dealing with financially, right? And this housing crisis is, causing people to just really like have to consider a lot of things on what they're going through. But, ultimately, I feel like there should be definitely more safeguards, right? And, one of the things that I realized on, what she was talking about in the sense of not really understanding how your mortgage payment can go up is because a lot of times when lenders actually go over that pre-approval, they're never really talking to you about what that mortgage payment is going to be, right? So like, let's say you get approved for a $500,000 house. They just tell you you're approved for that. And they'll tell you what the interest rate is. They're not actually even telling you what that mortgage payment is going to be at that time, which is part of the biggest issue when purchasing a home right now, is that you're really not understanding that. You just know, hey, on paper, they say I could buy a $500,000 house. I'm going to buy at the top or at near my budget, because ultimately, just to get enough bedrooms a lot of times and in a certain area of town that you want to live in, you have to almost go to the top of your budget there.
Shouts out to that young lady. We just here at Prepare to Compete here, we want to, one, thank you for sharing your story, because it is powerful and it's helping so many others. But also stay strong. Stay strong. It is hard. It is, again, a tumultuous world right now. You don't know the future. No one else does. But again, have faith, keep moving forward, and just keep your head up. Just keep your head up. And the light at the end of the tunnel will come. Just keep striving forward, first and foremost. So thank you for sharing your story.